What if the Supreme Court says that, or rules that this is unconstitutional?
The Supreme Arbiter.
But it is a co-equal branch, right?
Yes, but they're the final arbiter of constitutional questions. There are pending petitions now with the Supreme Court filed by the Vice President to stop the impeachment proceedings. They asked for a preliminary. They prayed for an injunction. It was not granted. They subsequently filed a supplemental petition. They sought the issuance of a TRO. Still no action.
At kasabay ho nito, biglang gumalaw po yung Ombudsman, ano?
Yes.
Na sinasabi po sa Vice President na sumagot sila answering to these charges. And there's that whole debate. Senator Laila de Lima, former Senator Laila de Lima, expressed her concern.
Oh yeah. We are concerned.
About that office na baka ma-dismiss yung mga charges even before this trial is held.
No. The charges, you mean the charges in the impeachment court?
No.
What
the
charges?
The criminal case.
But the Ombudsman cannot even intrude into these proceedings. He cannot initiate this preliminary investigation. Why? Under the Ombudsman Act, Republic Act 6770, there's a provision there that says the Ombudsman can exercise disciplinary authority over public officials, elected, appointed, officials of government-owned and controlled corporations, officials of the LGUs, except impeachable officers. Except officers who can only be removed by impeachment. Members of the Congress are also excluded. The judiciary are also excluded. Why? There are independent mechanisms to discipline members of Congress.
Which is the impeachment process?
No. They have their own mechanism. They have their committee on, they have their ethics committee, their committee on discipline. So in other words, they have their own independent mechanism. Same with the Supreme Court. There's the Office of the Court Administrator that hears administrative cases against erring judges. But I'm referring in particular to officers who can be removed only by impeachment, like the Vice President. That's an exception to the rule that the Ombudsman exercises disciplinary authority. Okay? The only instance when the Ombudsman can conduct a preliminary investigation of an impeachable officer if it is for the purpose of filing a verified impeachment complaint, if warranted by the investigation. Why is this so? The Ombudsman is provided with reports of investigations conducted by the House apropos of government officials.
Which is binigyan nga po daw siya, di ba, na report.
Yes, that is the reason why.
Kaya niya binuksan ito na pinapasagot niya si
But that is again overstretching his authority. He is provided reports occasionally, or if not regularly, by the committee or committees, respective committees of Congress, so that he could do an assessment on whether or not to pursue a complaint. Okay? But not with respect to impeachable officers. When he was given this report regarding the investigations conducted by the Quadcom, it was part of the, for your information, practice by the committees of the House of Representatives. It was not a complaint. It was unusual for him to treat this as a complaint and name Congressman Joel Chua as the complainant because he was the chairman. So he was also, caught about, why? I'm not a complainant.
So saan po niya, yung sinasabi po niyo na limitado ang kanyang kapangyarihan dito sa mga non-impeachable officers, saan po mahahanap po yan?
Nasa Republic Act 6770, the Ombudsman Act.
Okay.
This is the law that created the Ombudsman. This is the law that defined the powers of the Ombudsman.
So what should the Ombudsman do? What if he dismisses this?
He cannot.
He cannot?
He cannot. He should back off. Let the impeachment trial proceed. Because the mandate is, because the House of Representatives has the exclusive power to initiate
But if
impeachment.
he does pursue,
he's liable for violating the law.
The prosecution, the trial will continue.
Trial will continue. He cannot stop this. he should back off. He should desist. That's the legal way of
We do know that the
responding to this.
Ombudsman, Samuel Martirez, is retiring this July. So
That even makes this interesting, considering his track record.
before the 20th Congress begins, does that happen before the Congress begins?
I think he retires sometime in mid-July. I'm not.
So that's before the
Yes.
20th Congress begins.
Good morning, I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro. It is Monday, the last day of June, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. And here are the stories that matter today. The mayoralty of Alice Guo in Tarlac has been voided by a Manila court which found her to be undoubtedly a Chinese citizen. The ruling warned that her case presented a national security risk with a foreign national gaining access to public office through a false identity. 20% of Filipinos suffered involuntary hunger in the last 3 months, the latest social weather station survey reveals. Let's discuss this matter later in the program. And Alex Ayala soars to career-high world number 56 in WTA rankings after historic Eastbourne finals run. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, a Manila court has ruled that dismissed Banban Mayor Alice Guo is not a Filipino citizen, but a Chinese national. Here is the report.
A Manila court has voided the mayorship of Alice Guo in Tarlac, ruling that she is undoubtedly a Chinese citizen. In a 67-page decision dated June 27, the Manila Regional Trial Court said Guo was never qualified to run for mayor in Bamban, calling her nothing more than a usurper of public office. Under the Constitution, only natural-born Filipinos can seek elective posts. The court found that Guo was actually Guo Huaping, born in China to Chinese parents, and entered the Philippines in 1999 on a special investor visa. A fingerprint analysis by the National Bureau of Investigation confirmed they are the same person. No valid record supported her claim of Filipino parentage, and her birth certificate wasn't registered until she was already 19. The ruling stemmed from a petition by the Solicitor General, who argued that Guo was never qualified to run, making her election void from the start. The court warned her case posed a national security risk, with a foreign national gaining access to public office using a false identity. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian welcomed the ruling and urged further legal action against Guo and those who enabled her. Senator Risa Hontiveros also hailed the development, saying the truth always comes out indeed. For its part, PAOK hailed the ruling as a major victory, saying it was a result of a whole-of-government approach.
A Muntinlupa court has upheld the acquittal of Representative-elect Laila de Lima and her former driver Ronnie Dayan in a drug case. This follows the Court of Appeal's earlier order to revisit the case due to a lack of detailed explanation in a 2023 ruling. But RTC Judge Abraham Joseph Alcantara maintained that the retraction of former corrections official Rafael Ragos was enough to uphold De Lima's presumption of innocence. Ragos had previously accused De Lima of receiving drug money in 2012 but recanted his testimony in 2022. De Lima spent nearly 7 years in detention before she was released on bail in November 2023. Now, before the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte can begin, the Senate Impeachment Court must first address legal issues raised in her initial response. Senate Court spokesperson Attorney Reginald Tonggol said Duterte's answer ad cautelam questions the court's jurisdiction and alleges a violation of the Constitution's 1-year ban on multiple impeachment attempts. Tongol said Senator judges will deliberate on the issue once the court convenes and after taking their oaths. Meanwhile, House Prosecution spokesperson Attorney Antonio Bucoy warned that dismissing the case outright could trigger a constitutional crisis, saying they would bring the matter to the Supreme Court if needed. The Senate is expected to convene as an impeachment court on July 29. Now, in other news, the Philippine government is now looking at lowering the crisis alert level in the Middle East following the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Here's the report.
Nights in Israel have been lit up almost daily by ballistic missiles fired by Iran over the past week. A similar situation is unfolding in Iran, which is now being retaliated against by Israel. Following a ceasefire agreement, psychosocial debriefings were promptly launched for some Filipinos living in Israel. The Philippine Embassy worked hand-in-hand with the Department of Health to facilitate these sessions.
May peculiarity rin ito kasi available din most likely mga kababayan natin sa gabi, Israeli time. Kasi yun lang yung time na tapos na sila magtrabaho. But the embassy, I personally believe na importante ito para sa mental well-being ng mga kababayan natin.
Despite the hardships brought by the war, only a little over 300 out of more than 30,000 Filipinos in Israel have formally requested repatriation.
Mas prefer ko dito kaysa sa Pinas. Walang gera at hindi ka tamad, malaki kikitain mo.
Siguro 95% o higit pa na walang may gustong umuwi pa sa ngayon dahil maayos po ang aming lagay, maayos po ang pakikisama.
The Philippine Embassy in Tel Aviv has recommended lowering Israel's alert status from level 3 to level 2. But according to DFA Undersecretary Ed De Vega, the department cannot rush such decisions. Meanwhile, financial aid from the embassy continues for Filipinos who lost their jobs due to the war, including more than 70 workers in the hotel industry affected by the temporary shutdown of hotels around the Dead Sea. Shelter has also been arranged for 125 out of 140 Filipinos who were displaced by missile attacks.
Don't go away. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Neck-deep floods submerged parts of Barangay San Jose in Navotas during high tide after seawater breached a damaged river wall along Celeste Street. The flooding, which occurred over the weekend, forced the evacuation of 30 families or 121 people to Navotas Elementary School 1 and the Barangay Hall. According to the city officials, the wall located within a shipyard had long required repairs. Meanwhile, Pag-asa said the low-pressure area inside the Philippine Area of Responsibility has a low chance to develop into a tropical depression within the next 24 hours. Cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms are expected over Bicol, Eastern Visayas, Aurora, Quezon, Metro Manila, Mindanao, and other parts of Luzon and the Visayas due to the trough of the LPA and the southwest monsoon. A for sale sign briefly appeared outside former President Rodrigo Duterte's home in Doña Luisa Village in Davao City on Saturday, but was taken down the next day. Duterte's longtime partner, Honilet Avencenia, confirmed the house is for sale, citing emotional strain and security concerns following his detention at the International Criminal Court. Davao City Vice Mayor Sebastian Duterte, now acting mayor, is said to have ordered the sign's removal. Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte is reportedly opposed to the sale and prefers opening the house to the public instead. Cavite 1st District Representative Jolo Revilla says he will refile the proposed wage hike bill when the 20th Congress opens. This comes after the Senate failed to finalize a joint version with the House before the 19th Congress adjourned. Revilla, co-author of House Bill number 7871, earlier backed a 150 pesos daily wage hike for private sector workers. This was later consolidated into a 200 pesos wage hike, which the House approved in March, but it is stalled without Senate action. Calling the delay a painful setback, Revilla stressed the urgent need for wage reform, citing rising costs of food, utilities, and transportation. He urged Congress to prioritize a unified consultative bill and said support for small businesses should come through subsidies and tax relief, not at the expense of workers. The MMDA has removed traffic light timers at 96 intersections across Metro Manila, replacing them with an adaptive signaling system that uses sensors. Instead of countdown timers, the green light will now blink 5 times before turning yellow, which stays on for 3 seconds before switching to red. MMDA Chairman Romando Artes said the change addresses issues with faulty timers and aims to discourage motorists from speeding to beat the red light. He also denied claims that the new system is a trap under the no contact apprehension policy. Stay tuned, Morning Matters will be right back after this short break. Good morning, I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro, and here on Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. The number of Filipinos who experience involuntary hunger at least once in the past 3 months rose to 20%, according to the latest survey by Social Weather Stations, or SWS. This marks a slight increase from the 19.1% recorded in the April 11-15 survey. Mindanao posted the highest hunger rate at 26.3%, followed by Metro Manila at 20.3%, the Visayas at 19.7%, and Balance Luzon at 17%. Of the total hunger rate, 16.4% of families experienced moderate hunger, while 3.6% suffered from severe hunger. The survey was conducted from April 23 to 28, 2025 through face-to-face interviews with 1,500 adults nationwide. Now let's discuss that further with DSWD Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao. Good morning and welcome to the program, ASEC.
Hi, good morning, Angela. Magandang umaga din po sa lahat ng sumusubaybay ng inyong pong programa.
Right. We just want to get your reaction or the DSWD's response to the rise in hunger reported by the latest SWS survey.
Well, Angela, as the lead in social protection and as lead also in protecting the vulnerable, the marginalized, and the poor, the Department of Social Welfare and Development views this information, this latest study, with deep concern. They say that 1 out of 5 Filipinos experience hunger in the month of April. That for us is a serious matter.
Right.
It actually represents individuals and families who need urgent support. That is why the DSWD continues to implement the Walang Gutom or the food stamp program. We're currently covering or serving 300,000 households, and we're looking at increasing the number by 150,000 by the second half of this year. This following, of course, the release of the latest SWS survey, which mentioned that the Walang Gutom program has significantly decreased the hunger incidence amongst our beneficiaries. So we're looking at that information to, again, scale up the implementation of the program. Another thing, Angela, we're also continuously implementing the Walang Gutom Kitchen, wherein we provide hot and nutritious meals to families and individuals who are experiencing involuntary hunger within the National Capital Region. And we're also looking at putting up another Walang Gutom Kitchen at the northern part of the National Capital Region, because currently we're having it at the former Pogo Hub in Pasay City. So we recognize that there are also other individuals who might need support from the northern part of Manila. So we're looking at expanding that as well. In times of crisis, if I may just add, Angela,
Yes.
in times of crisis also, the DSWD continues to deploy family food packs. And now we have the ready-to-eat food packs, which recently or last week, we have signed a memorandum of agreement with the Philippine Ports Authority for the propositioning of this ready-to-eat food, so that families and individuals who are stuck in ports and affected by various disasters would also have nutritious meals. Likewise, we're now at 3 million family food packs that are readily accessible and may be used by local government units as augmentation support to ensure that our disaster efforts or initiatives are timely and sufficient.
ASEC, mamaya balikan po natin, isa-isahin po natin yung mga programs that you mentioned. But meantime, ano po ba, kasi this is not the first time that we talked about it po. And dun po sa mga survey that we always see sa mga reports, so ang Mindanao po lagi nagkakaroon ng highest hunger rate. Ano? So ano po ba yung factors na nakikita po natin, bakit po nagkakaganoon?
Well, of course, Angela, as we've mentioned naman in the past, multidimensional yung issue on hunger. Maraming mga factors that affect the situation. But what is important, of course, is we're using this information, we're listening to this so that we could address and find specific solutions to the problem. Again, we recognize the issue and its reference for us, its basis in improving yung ding implementation ng mga various programs natin. Because sabi nga ni President Marcos Jr., dapat walang Pilipino ang nagugutom. So, as I've earlier mentioned, we continue to implement and intensify the implementation of our various programs.
Well, we recognize po the programs that you mentioned earlier, but how are we making sure, or how is the DSWD ensuring that yung aid po ay nakakarating doon sa mga affected areas, such as in Mindanao and Visayas, na talaga po far-flung areas po yung karamihan po doon, na yun po sila ay nakaka-experience ng hunger?
Yes. Tama ka dyan, Angela. No? Kaya nga tayo, we enhance our coordination with local government units and various stakeholders para yung response natin and our interventions are timely and well-targeted. Like for the Walang Gutom program, we make use of the listahanan or the National Household Targeting System for Poverty Reduction. It's the standardized targeting system that's being adopted by the government, wherein we also match this with the Family Income and Expenditure Survey of the PSA para makita talaga natin kung sino yung mga families who are experiencing food insecurity, and that the interventions such as the Walang Gutom program are focused to them. So that's one of our references. Aside from the fact that I mentioned na we continuously work with the local government units and other stakeholders.
How are we making sure naman po na sustainable po itong programs that we're doing right now? As I've said, well, we recognize po yung mga walang gutom programs and other ayudas that DSWD is giving to the affected families. How are we making sure that these ayudas or programs are sustainable po? Especially right now na tag-ulan na naman, di ba? Mostly po sinasabi ng mga critics, of course, na talagang we're just being reactive to the situation, not being proactive.
Well, Angela, it is the commitment of the department to really address the issue on poverty and hunger. And it's part of our commitment to provide the immediate response, but at the same time, the long-term solution.
Right.
Kaya nga sa Walang Gutom program, it's not just providing the 3,000 pesos monthly food credit. We also have conditions for the implementation of this. Our beneficiaries attend productivity enhancement sessions so that they would be capacitated and eventually they'd be able to land in gainful jobs at sila na po mismo yung maghahanap ng mga resources para makapaghain sila ng mura, masustansya at masasarap na pagkain sa kanila pong mga pamilya. So we have to capacitate our beneficiaries so that eventually they'd be able to fish for their own. Likewise, meron tayong mga other interventions from other partners that supplement the efforts that we are doing. For the Walang Gutom program, DOLE and TESDA are coordinating with us and helping us in terms of capacity building or productivity enhancement sessions implementation.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, hunger is more pronounced in regions like Eastern Visayas and parts of Mindanao, despite being agricultural spots. What are we also doing to help the farmers there to cope with this recent problem?
Again, as I've earlier mentioned, Angela, we're working with various stakeholders. That includes also yung Department of Agriculture. The DSWD as one of the active members of the enhanced program against hunger and poverty, and as the lead also in the Interagency Task Force for Zero Hunger. Again, we work with these various government agencies so that we could identify the problem, we could identify likewise the solutions to address these problems.
And I also, since you're here na rin po, I would like to take this opportunity to ask you na rin po yung preparation of DSWD sa ating bagyo season.
Yes. Angela, as I've mentioned, this is another intervention that the DSWD is doing for disaster-affected communities and families. no, na nagpo-provide din tayo ng mga family food packs and
Right.
non-food items. And just a while back I mentioned about the ready-to-eat food pack, which we're also now prepositioning in various ports and our regional offices. Currently, we're at 3 million family food packs, which are strategically prepositioned across the country. Sa lahat ng mga hubs, spokes, and last miles na mga warehouses natin, meron tayo mga nakapreposition na dyan. So that anytime that disasters strike, well, hindi naman natin hinihingi, Angela, na magkaroon ng
Right.
massive disasters, but in case it happens, the department is ready to augment the resources of the local government unit and address the specific needs of their constituents. Again, that is one of our firm commitments, no, to really make sure na yung mga naapektuhan ng mga disasters ay hindi na po kinakailangang mag-worry because hindi nila alam, no, kung saan nila i-access yung food, ano yung mga gagamitin nila kapag naapektuhan sila. Because again, the DSWD is ready. This is of course aligned with the directive of the President to ensure that all disaster-affected families and individuals need not worry about their daily food or their situation because the government is ready to provide the appropriate assistance.
And also, have we extended help na rin po doon sa Navotas, doon sa families? 30 families, if I'm not mistaken po, na affected po ng flood dahil hindi pa rin po nagawa yung mga navigational floodgates doon.
Yes, Angela, our field office NCR is closely working with the local government unit, and any additional support that may be needed will of course be extended by our agency.
And how are we working also po doon sa ilang mga families na, of course, nag-ugat po yung usapin doon sa mga may nakita po tayong tao doon sa Imbornal, pero sabi nga po nila that goes beyond the problem dahil marami rin pong mga pamilya yung mga nasa sewers na doon nakatira. How are we addressing that problem po right now under DSWD's program?
Yeah, okay. Under the DSWD Pag-abot program, we continue to again, work with local government units so that all families and individuals in street situation na nakikita po natin are profiled and are brought to our processing center for assessment and a determination of appropriate intervention so that they would not be going back to the streets. We continue to assess, no, yung mga families and individuals and situations. Kapag may nakikita pa rin po tayo, kahit na na-profile na natin sila, binabalikan po natin sila because again, no family or individual should be staying in the streets, hindi yon appropriate
Right.
na space for them para mag-thrive, para magkaroon ng maayos na buhay. Kaya nga sabi ko, we work with local government units and we also work with other stakeholders. Kaya napakahalaga, Angela, yung participation din of the general public na kapag may nakita po kayo na families and individuals in street situation, you immediately inform the department or the local government unit para makapag-conduct tayo ng reach out activities.
Right. We'll take note of that, Asek. And going back po dun sa issue ng pagtaas po ng hunger rate po sa mga different areas of the country, ano po ulit yung ginagawa ng DSWD to make sure na yung binibigay po natin pagkain sa kanila, yung mga ayuda ay aside from being sustainable ay healthy, no? Para po hindi naman po yung kumbaga dati kasi napupulaan po kayo na purong instant noodles daw po yung binibigay, yung mga ganon. So what are we doing po especially sa mga bata po, no, para po malabanan din yung malnutrition?
Yes, for the Walang Gutom program, Angela, meron tayong mga productivity enhancement sessions. One of the activities there is the attendance to nutrition education sessions. Dito po tinuturuan yung ating mga walang gutom beneficiaries on how to prepare mura, masustansya at masasarap na pagkain. If you've seen one of the nutrition education sessions, makikita mo, pina-classify ng ating mga beneficiaries kung ano ang go, grow, and glow foods. And then tinuturuan sila kung ano po ba yung mga dapat na mga food, mga menu na dapat i-prepare ng bawat pamilya. And then yan po ay batay doon sa Pinggang Pinoy. na galing rin sa mga partners natin from the DOST, from the FNRI, and from the National Nutrition Council. So you see, we work with this government agency so that we could provide the right information for our beneficiaries. And gayon din po doon sa ating pong ibang mga programa, we follow these inputs that are being provided by these various agencies who are experts in promoting yung nasusustansya ng mga pagkain. And in fact, yung din pong ready-to-eat food, dinevelop po yan ng DOST FNRI. We took guidance from them to make sure na ito pong mga piniprovide natin ng mga food ay ina-address yung nutritional requirements po ng ating mga kababayan.
All right, with that, we will continue to get in touch with you regarding this issue. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, DSWD Assistant Secretary Irene Tumblao.
Thank you very much, Angela. Good morning.
Now, don't go away. More matters to discuss after the break. Keep it here on One News.
Lahat po ng mapapanood ninyo sa susunod na mga eksena ay fake. Tandaan nyo po yan.
Ngayon, sobrang dali na gumawa ng fake na video. Muka, boses, pwedeng gayahin. Parang totoo, pero hindi.
Yung fake videos, pwedeng gamitin yan para manghingi ng OTP, password, o mag-spread ng maling impormasyon. Gaya nito.
Bro, legit to. High return in just 3 months. Wala kang gagawin.
Oo, boss. Bayad ka. Minimum lang 50,000. May 100,000 ka na bukas.
Oops, fake lahat to. Pati kami FAK.
Nanalo ako. Pero kailangan daw ng 1,000 pesos. Tsaka OTP. Anong OTP?
Inday, na-aksidente si sir. Nasa ospital. Karon dayon nagpadala og kwarta.
Unsa? Ay, fake pala ako. Pati itong buong eksena.
Good morning po. May promo tayo ngayon. Tataasan natin ang credit limit ninyo.
Alright.
Pakisend po ng picture ng credit card nyo.
Oops, fake to.
Ingat tayong lahat sa fake. Gaya namin.
Lahat kami dito fake.
Pakipadala ng email address at phone number. Oops, fake ako. Sorry, tita. Fake ako.
Ow, I miss you.
Sorry. Fake kami.
Gagawa ko ng batas na lahat ng senior high school students kailangan mag-necktie.
Bakit po necktie, sir?
Sa ikauunlad ng bayan, neckties ang kailangan. Ay, fake pala ako. Pati itong press con.
Fake news and fake videos will become an even bigger problem. Pati lahat ito fake.
Ang nakakagulat, sobrang dali na gumawa ng video gamit ang AI. Sobrang galing na nito at gagaling pa.
Ang good news, mukhang mas madaling gumawa ng AI-generated video kesa magpaloko, kahit gano'ng kagaling pa yan.
Lalo na kaming mga kabataan ngayon, hindi na kami basta-basta maluloko.
Hindi mo kami maluloko, AI.
Gayunpaman, there are people we care about who can fall for this. At aminin, baka one day, mabiktima ka rin.
Saka sa totoo lang, lahat ng scam na to, lumana. But we've seen that every old scam tries to use the newest technology.
We have also seen that even the oldest scams and the newest toys are no match for knowledge, awareness, and watching out for each other.
Kaya let's be aware. Magtulungan tayo na maintindihan ng bawat isa ang mga nakikita at napapanood natin.
Uulitin ko lang ha, ang lahat ng nakita nyo, fake. Walang totoong tao dito. Pati ako fake. Okay, thanks, bye.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Now let's get back to Bril Montalvo, who is now in Davao, to talk about more or give us more details on the supposedly selling of the house of former President Rodrigo Duterte in Davao. Hi, Bril.
Hello, Angela. Good morning. Ibinibenta ng araw ang bahay ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte dito nga sa Doña Luisa Subdivision dito sa Matina, Davao City. Ito ang kinumpirma ng common law wife ng dating Pangulo na si Hanilet Avancenia sa isang panayam sa radyo noong Sabado. Nito ngang weekend ay lumabas ang ilang larawan ng bahay ni Digong na may nakapaskil na karatulang house for sale. Ayon kay Hanilet, masakit daw para sa kanya ang pagbebenta sa bahay lalo doon nakatira ang dating Pangulo bago siya arestuhin at tuluyang makulong sa ICC sa Daheg. Ngayon daw ang mga kasambahay nilang ang naroon sa bahay. Sa isang ulat naman ng Philippine Star, hindi raw kinumpirma ni Vice President Sara Duterte na binibenta ang bahay. Aniya, hindi raw nila pagmamay-ari ito pero umaasa raw siya na hindi na ito maibenta. Ang gusto niya ay bukas lang sa publiko ang bahay para raw makita ng mga Pilipino kung saan natulog at kumain ang dating Pangulo. Wala pa namang pahayag ang ibang anak ni Duterte tungkol dito. Angela?
Bril, just to give us a clearer picture of what's happening there, sino ba daw ba ang naglagay nung for sale na signage doon mismo sa bahay ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte?
Alam mo, Angela, sa bahay doon, sa labas ng bahay ng dating Pangulo sa Doña Luisa Subdivision dito sa Davao City, ay tahimik na. At may nagbabantay na mga gwardiya doon pero mangilan-ngilan na lang. At nang tanungin natin yung mga nagbabantay doon, wala daw silang idea kung sino ang nagpasking doon at kung naibenta na ba or hindi pa nabili ito nga bahay ng dating Pangulo. Pero kanina nakita natin yung tarpaulin doon mismo pero nakaano na ito, itinago na nila yung tarpaulin doon sa labas ng bahay.
Oo. So, pero aside from Vice President Sara Duterte, meron bang official statement ang now acting mayor ngayon dyan sa Davao City na si Vice Mayor Baste Duterte?
Yes, Angela, no, yun pa nga ang hinihintay natin na magbigay ng official statement ang iba pang anak ng dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na si Congressman Paulo Duterte at Vice Mayor-elect Base Duterte, maging si Kitty Duterte, Angela. So ngayon, wala pa silang pahayag hinggil dito.
Kamusta naman yung mga residente dyan sa Davao, yung mga locals, yung mga supporters ni former President Rodrigo Duterte, doon dito sa balita na nagsasabi na binebenta nga, no, di umano itong bahay niya?
Yes, Angela, no, kanina nga ay naabutan natin ang ilang mga turista na pumunta doon para mag-selfie doon sa labas ng bahay ng dating Pangulo. At sabi nila na lulungkot daw sila sa balita na ibebenta na itong bahay ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Medyo mahigpit na ngayon, no, ang pagpasok sa dito nga sa Doña Luisa subdivision. Noon, kahit sino lang ang pumupunta, kahit ilang tao ang makakapasok sa subdivision, pero ngayon limited na lang, Angela. At yung noon yung mga taga-suporta doon na naglagay ng tent at nag-aabang, nagpabantay sa bahay ni Tatay Digong ay pinaalis na sila ng mga homeowners association.
Okay. So right now, Bril, kasi I remember last May we were there at nagkita nga tayo dyan to cover some, to do a story about the elections dyan sa Davao City. At may mga nakita tayong mga nagpi-prayer vigil dyan, mga supporters, mga vloggers. Ngayon, wala na yun mga yun ngayon.
Yes, wala na sila, Angela. Sinabihan sila ng mga homeowners dito sa loob ng subdivision na bawal na sila magstay doon. Pero kinaliwanag ng homeowners na pwede namang pumunta ang mga turista at mga bisita doon na magpa-picture. Pero hanggang sa doon lang. Where, as to mag-overnight, yung mga supporters is bawal na, Angela. At niligpit na rin yung mga tent nila. So ngayon, ang mood sa labas ng bahay ni Tatay Digong is peaceful na, Angela. Wala nang tao.
Okay, so taking this opportunity na rin to ask you, Bril, kasi doon nga sa mga balita natin, si VP Sara ay sinasabi niya hindi naman daw nag-apply ng interim release with the Australian government. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, tama ka nga dyan, Angela. No? Last Friday, during the off-taping ng mga nananong lokal na opisyal dito nga sa Davao City na pinangunahan ni Vice Mayor-elect Base Duterte, ay nagpa-unlock nga ng isang ambush interview. Ito nga si VP Sara at isa sa mga natanong sa kanya kung kumpirmado ba na dininay or hindi tatanggapin ng gobyerno ng Australia ito nga si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte if ever na maaano itong interim release niya, papayagan na ng ICC itong interim release niya. At sabi nga ni VP Sara na wala umano silang hakbang or hindi sila nagbibigay or nag-a-apply ng interim release sa listahan ng mga bansa na gusto nilang kupkupin doon temporarily. Ito nga si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. So may mga listahan sila na posibleng titirhan muna or magtitira doon si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Pero nilinaw ni VP Sara na wala sila ni isang bansa na nag-apply sila ng interim release.
Alright. So, and lastly, may balita ka ba doon sa mangyayari today? Dahil I believe ang mga local government officials ay ngayon ang kanilang magiging first day in office. Especially dyan ngayon sa Davao City wherein si Vice Mayor Base Duterte ang tatayong mayor habang wala ang kanyang ama na kasalukuyang nakapiit ngayon o nakadetain sa The Hague.
Yes, Angela, no, ngayong 12 noon ang start ng office nito ngang mga nanalong local officials sa katatapos lang na 2025 bilang Pilipino. At dito sa Davao City, wala masyadong transition na magaganap. Kasi nga, yung mayor-elect is si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte at yung vice mayor-elect is si outgoing mayor at vice mayor-elect Base Duterte. So, possible na hindi man nakapanumpa itong si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, ang acting mayor dito sa Davao, simula mamayang 12 noon ay si Vice Mayor-elect Base Duterte. So, wala masyadong malaking transition dito sa City Hall ng Davao City. Angela?
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong oras. That was our News 5 correspondent Bril Montalvo reporting live from Davao. In other news, pabata ng pabata ang mga nakakasakit sa bato ayon po yan mismo sa Department of Health. Ang masaklap, chronic o pangmatagalan pa ang klase ng kidney disease na tumatama sa kanila. Para bigyan ng mukha ang balita, Mobile Journal, Yeda Pascual.
Akala natin pang matatanda lang ang sakit na chronic kidney disease o CKD. Pero ngayon, dumarami na rin ang mga bata na naaapektuhan nito. Iba-iba ang posibleng sanhi ng CKD o chronic kidney disease. Isang kondisyon kung saan unti-unting sinisira ang kidney hanggang sa hindi na ito gumana ng maayos.
Ang usual na pinanggagalingan po neto ay congenital. So, pagkapanganak po nila ay may problema na sa kanilang kidney. But habang nagkakaedad po yung mga bata, ang nagiging attribution niya na po ay lifestyle. Doon po nanggagaling na kung bakit sila nagkakaroon ng hypertension at diabetes na nauuwi po sa CKD.
Ang masakit dito, madalas na lumalabas lamang ang sintomas pag late stage na. Andiyan ang pamamaga ng muka at paa, panalamig o panlalata, madilaw na balat at bula-bulang ihi. Pag nagpa-check up kadalasan, late stage na. Sa tala ng Philippine Renal Disease Registry, halos 120,000 ang kaso ng mga dinadialysis sa bansa. Kapansin-pansin na dumarami yung mga edad 1 hanggang 20 taong gulang.
On the kabataan, noong 2022, 353 cases lamang. Noong 2023, pumalo po tayo ng 692. At noong 2024 ay 595. So talaga pong may increase siya if we will compare it with the 2022 po na datos natin.
Ang tanong, ano nga ba ang ginagawa dito ng DOH?
Katulong din po ng DOH ang Health Human Resource Development Bureau sa pagsasagawa ng training naman para sa ating mga primary healthcare workers upang mas magkaroon sila ng kakayahan at na mapigilan at lalo na ma-identify on the early stage pa lang yung sakit na CKD. May libre po tayong gamutan at subsidized care para sa mga batang may CKD. Particular na po ang 156 na hemodialysis session sa loob ng 1 taon.
Sa mga paaralan, pinalilimitahan na ang pagbibenta ng matatamis at processed food. CKD man o anumang sakit sa tulong ng tamang kaalaman, healthy lifestyle at regular check-up, posible itong maagapan. Mobile Journal Yeda Pascual po. Hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Now in sports, Filipina tennis ace Alice Guo has climbed to a career-high world number 56 in the latest WTA rankings. This comes following her runner-up finish at the 2025 Lexus Eastbourne Open. The 20-year-old surged 18 spots after reaching her first WTA final, coming all the way from the qualifiers and defeating higher-ranked players along the way. Iyala's previous best ranking was number 69 in May. She now heads into Wimbledon, where she's set for a first-round clash against the defending champion. Alas Pilipinas failed to host Vietnam in straight sets 20-25, 21-25, 21-25 in their VTV Cup opener on Sunday. Brooke Van Sickle, MJ Phillips, and Aliyah Malaluan delivered key plays, especially in the third set where the Philippines pulled even at 15-all. Leila Cruz and Malaluan scored late to extend the match, but Vietnam held firm to seal the win. Alas Pilipinas looks to bounce back against Sichuan Wuliang Chun of China today. And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you just right start to your morning. Let's make the day matter. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro. We are One News, all sides, all the time.